Hello, welcome to LMU Tri-State News. I'm Ashley Hurley, and our set, as you can see, is currently under construction, so please bear with us, but thank you for joining us. Tuesday, November 11th, the community is invited to join Lincoln Memorial University in celebrating philanthropy and its impact on the institution and region. This day is being set aside to raise awareness of philanthropy on campus and encourage giving within the university community. The celebration will include a live webcast of activities from Tex Turner Arena that will kick off at 11 a.m. This webcast is being hosted by LMU President Emeritus Gary Burchett and Vice President for University Advancement Cynthia Witt, with a special appearance from LMU President B. James Dawson. The university has adopted the national theme of Philanthropy Day, Change the World with a Giving Heart. In celebration of Veterans Day, veterans will be celebrated throughout the program. There will be student and donor stories as well as memories of how LMU's gifts have shaped the university. The LMU community is encouraged to participate in the celebration by dropping by the Tex Turner Room to learn more about philanthropy. Also, be sure to tune in to LMU Community TV to be a part of the Philanthropy Day celebration. An East Tennessee organization with ties to the Tri-State community took a big stand against drug abuse this past weekend. Stand in the Gap Coalition held its Stand at the Cross, formerly Stand in the Gap event Saturday. The event brought together hundreds to walk a mile and take a stand against drug and alcohol abuse as well as domestic violence. The daughter of musician Ray Charles, Sheila Ray Charles, sang at the event. Throughout life, Charles was in and out of prison due to her addiction, but is now clean and runs a prison ministry. As the crowd walked the mile to the cross, bagpipes played, and many of those walking took the opportunity to stop at prayer stations. After the mile was complete, the crowd met at the cross for praise, worship, and testimonies. If you would like to know more about the organization, you can log on to www.sigco.org. It's a common question in the world of meteorology, and our own weather spotter, Rachel Maddie, answers the question of why do high and low pressure systems appear on weather forecasts, and what exactly do they mean? Here to answer that is Rachel herself.
We often hear the terms high and low pressure in weather reports. Pressure systems are just air masses that are either rising or sinking. Let's remember that the surface of the earth is unevenly heated. The air masses above cold regions will also be cold, and warmer land will cause the air above it to also be warm. Generally, warm air rises and cold air sinks. As cool air sinks in the northern hemisphere, it will spiral down clockwise away from the center. The air will become dense and move down, causing high pressure. The cool air will warm and dry, which is why high pressure systems are associated with clear skies and calm weather. Everything tends to flow from high pressure to low pressure. The air in a high pressure system will want to flow towards an area of lower pressure. Usually, low pressure is formed by the movement caused by colliding surfaces of two characteristically different warm and cold air masses when they meet. In the northern hemisphere, the air currents surrounding a low-pressure system will flow in a counterclockwise motion towards the center of the low pressure. The air flows at the center are then forced up, causing low pressure at the surface, and cooling and condensing the water vapor at the same time. The uplifted vapors will then form clouds and eventually rain, which is why regions under a low-pressure system will usually experience bad weather. High-pressure systems are categorized with a blue H, and systems that are in a low-pressure system will be categorized with a red L. And an easy way to remember that is that blue is for cold, and H is for happy, red is for something that's generally warm or hot, and L is for the lift or lousy.
Coming up after the break, a look at what has kept officers busy over the weekend and a peek into what we can expect in our sports update. We have that and more right after the break.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Get your ass up. You're not in here.
Yes, I am.
Move. Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stabbing me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how.
Oh,
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back. One woman was killed and 2 people were injured in a Thursday night accident in Tazewell. According to the Tennessee Highway Patrol report, a Jeep being driven by 35-year-old William Littrell of Ewing, Virginia, was traveling north on Highway 33 near McNeely Street when the vehicle went off the right side of the road, hitting a tree and rolling to a stop. Passenger, 35-year-old Ashley Noah of Sharps Chapel, was killed in the accident. Littrell and another passenger, 46-year-old Foy Daniels of Harrogate, were both injured, but the extent of their injuries is unknown. Littrell is charged with vehicular homicide, and according to the Highway Patrol's report, drugs are suspected to be a cause or a factor in the cause of the wreck. The report states that no one was wearing a seatbelt in the vehicle and that if they had been wearing one, it would have made a difference. The accident remains under investigation by the Tennessee Highway Patrol Fall Branch Division. 2 men accused of making meth in August were recently indicted by a Bell County grand jury. 51-year-old Wayne Touchton of Miracle, Kentucky, and 46-year-old Scott Bolf of Okeechobee, Florida, were both indicted for manufacturing methamphetamine. The Bell County Sheriff's Office received an anonymous tip stating that the drug was being made at a home on Houston Miracle Lane. When deputies arrived, they spoke with Touchton, who had stepped out of a building just behind the house. The report states that a white vapor was coming from inside the house, and after a search, a deputy found what is believed to be an active meth lab, along with several items that are used to make the drug. The report states that Bolf was found in the bushes in close proximity to the home, but later admitted to being in the building. The Bell County Sheriff's Department handled the investigation. 3 women were arrested after they were allegedly making meth inside a home on Willow Street in Middlesboro. 38-year-old Jennifer Gordon, 29-year-old Crystal Reed, and 27-year-old Ashley Miracle, all of Middlesboro, were charged with manufacturing methamphetamine. The arrest citation states that officers responded to a custody dispute, and when entering the home, they smelled a strong chemical odor. The citation states that several items used for making the drug were found inside one of the bedrooms, and Miracle and Reed were found together in the same bedroom where a portion of the lab was active at the time. Everything used to make methamphetamine was removed from the house, and all 3 were arrested and taken to the Bell County Detention Center. Now, the sports pros here at LMU Community TV get no break, and our very own Adam Haley can tell you all about that as we come to a close on how many sports?
3 sports in the past 9 days have finally come to a close for us in the LMU Sports Network, but there's one starting up. We'll talk about that when we come back with this break here on LMU Tri-State News.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Welcome back. back. Let's start in the world of high school football, where 4 Tri-State football teams were in postseason action on Friday night. 3 of them were in southeast Kentucky, and that's where we'll find Bell County. They were a winner over Henry County, 35-6. Pineville lost to Campbellsville 39-0 and finished 5-6 in the season. Middlesboro's season comes to an end at 5-5-1 as they lost to Prestonsburg 29-7. And Campbell County, 1 point better than Morristown West at 26-25. So with 2 teams left, this is what the second round looks like for our high school teams. Bell County at 9-2 is on the road at 7-4 Central. With a Bobcat victory, they could set up a rematch with Corbin next week in Corbin. Campbell County at 9-2, they're on the road at undefeated 11-0 South Doyle. Now good luck to the Bobcats and the Cougars moving on throughout the rest of the playoffs. With that being said, staying in high school football, the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association released their regional recommendations for the next 2 years. And for some of our local schools, it's going to be more travel. As you can see there, Class 1A Region 1, you saw Hancock County and the teams they're going to have to play. Here's Class 2A Region 1. You see Cumberland Gap in that region taking on some of their former foes before the Blue Ridge Athletic Conference from about 6 years ago. As we move to Class 3A Region 1, you're going to find the Claiborne Bulldogs taking on some teams they're used to seeing, but at the same time, not used to seeing, as they'll have Johnson County, Unicoi County, Chucky Doak, West Screen, and the brand new school being Northview Academy. And there you finally see it, as you see also Elizabethton, one of the strong teams this season. Moving on to 5A Region 3 is where we're going to find the Campbell County Cougars, and they're going to see some of their old foes. The biggest team they're going to have to worry about right there is Oak Ridge in that 6-team region. Now let's move on to LMU Athletics, where the LMU volleyball team finished off the 2014 season, and it wasn't exactly how Coach Jeannie Michael would have liked it, as they started off the last weekend on Friday night against Newberry. And while the ladies were putting up a valiant effort, it was for naught as they lost in 4 sets, 25-20, 25-19, 17-25, and 25-16. With Friday behind them, the Lady Rail Splitters came together for Senior Day on Saturday. LMU honored seniors Allison Beavers, Monica McConaughey, and Miranda Bodie for their hard work while at LMU. Now, after the pregame festivities were over, LMU had to get down to business. And when they looked through the net, they saw the 3rd best team in the conference in Anderson University. On this day, the Trojans showed why they are the 3rd best team as they swept LMU 3-0 behind sets of 25-14, 25-15, and 25-12. The Lady Rail Splitters finished the season with a 16-14 record and 12-10 in conference. They will be the 6th seed in the upcoming South Atlantic Conference tournament that starts Friday in Hickory, North Carolina. They'll take on, you guessed it, Anderson University, with the first serve scheduled for 7:30 p.m. And finally, Splitter Nation rejoice. The 2014-15 basketball season is finally here. The LMU men will start the season as the preseason favorites to repeat as conference champions as voted on by the coaches of the conference. And their streak of consecutive top 25 rankings will continue as they were placed 23rd in the preseason NABC Top 25 poll that came out last week. The men will tip off the season inside Tex Turner Arena this weekend as they host the SAC versus Conference Carolinas Challenge. They'll play Lees McRae on Friday night at 8 p.m. And again on Saturday, they'll take on King College at 4 p.m. Both these games will be broadcast through the LMU Sports Network on LMU Community TV, as well as 91.3 FM, The Gap. The LMU women will also be in action this weekend as they'll be on the road to kick off the Crystal Evans era. They were picked to finish 5th in the conference in the preseason coaches poll. The ladies will tip off the season on Saturday afternoon in the Holt Fieldhouse in Jefferson City, Tennessee, as part of the SAC versus Peach Belt Conference Challenge. Their opponent Saturday will be Lander University. That game will tip off at 5 p.m., and they'll turn around and play USC Aiken on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. The Lander game will not be broadcast due to the men's game happening at the same time, but you can listen to the LMU USC Aiken game on 91.3 FM on Sunday afternoon. Now that's going to do it for sports, but stay tuned. The Entertainment Report is up next here on LMU Tri-State.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
DirecTV may be losing another network. The television provider's contract with AMC is set to expire at the end of December, and negotiations have been heating up. A contract renewal is on the table, and AMC wants to increase prices. According to DirecTV's CEO, Mike White, the company is working in the best interests of their customers, trying to prevent price hikes demanded by the network. The Los Angeles Times recently recounted how AMC used its most popular show, The Walking Dead, to inform viewers they may miss the second half of Season 5. According to DirecTV, however, viewers won't be missing any of this year's new season of The Walking Dead or any other shows. And how so? Well, DirecTV's further stated AMC is contractually obligated to provide all of its programming for several more months, and we intend to renew our AMC partnership at a price that's fair to our customers. According to the International Business Times, the current contract between DirecTV and AMC ensures DirecTV consumers every Walking Dead episode until the end of 2014. Fortunately for fans, this dispute happens during a mid-season break where the next episode will not air until February 8, 2015, giving the two companies 3 months to come to an agreement. However, DirecTV held a similar altercation with Time Warner Cable Incorporated and resulted in a nearly season-long blackout for non-Time Warner Cable customers. Now, DirecTV might be downsizing its content providers, but Netflix is stepping up its original programming. The streaming company has acquired rights to one of the best-selling book series, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Netflix plans to adapt the book series into a live-action family entertainment series, as indicated by Deadline. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Paramount Television, the studio behind the 2004 feature film starring Jim Carrey, will produce the series in association with Netflix. And Daniel Handler, Lemony Snicket himself, will serve as an executive producer. In conjunction with the same source, A Series of Unfortunate Events is just the latest to be adapted into a series, a move that has become common as networks seek titles with established fan bases. Other movies getting adapted and revamped include Fargo, In the Heat of the Night, and Big. A Series of Unfortunate Events will join Netflix's other family-oriented originals, including The Adventures of Puss in Boots, as well as Turbo and Ever After. Now, Tom Brady has landed roles in 2 upcoming movies. Mark Wahlberg revealed Brady will appear in Ted 2 and the upcoming Entourage film during an interview with ESPN's Bill Simmons for the BS Report. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Saying you go back every once in a while, that people film a lot of movies in Boston now, which is nice for you.
Yeah, I just shot another movie there. I shot Ted 2, and we have an amazing performance by none other than the greatest quarterback of all time.
Tom Brady. Oh, he's branching out.
Tom's in the movie. He plays himself, but he does an amazing job. The funny moment.
He plays himself? He doesn't play like Tom Grady?
No.
Or no, you didn't,
there
like,
were moments where
man?
I was always improvising.
Yeah.
When doing the scene with him. So there are times when I'm like supposed to be a super fan, so I'm trying to calm myself down before I knock on his door, but I'm pretending that I don't know who he is. And I keep saying, yeah, he looks like different people. And then, of course, I'm playing an air conditioning guy, so I'm asking him to sign the paper. And then I said, can you sign that to me and Ted? And, you know, put number 12 there. And can you put Eli Manning sucks? And can you put Wes Welker's a traitor? And, you know, and we just kept playing around and playing around. I'm staring at his eyes. I'm like, oh, my God, they're bluer than, you know.
He's so handsome and tall.
They're bluer than Daytona Beach and, you know, MTV Spring Break. It was like, but he did a great job, really funny. And then we got Gronk, we got Ridley, and we got Edelman all in the Entourage movie. And Tom's in the Entourage movie, so I got him in 2 movies.
Break, Joseph Lewis breaks down Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway's performances in Interstellar.
Did you take your medicine? Oh gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse.
You need a claim number?
Her personal assistant.
Let me just grab
her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant, When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Hello, I'm Joseph Lewis, bringing you all the latest information in the world of movies. Tops at the box office last weekend included the superhero-themed animated film Big Hero 6, which opened at #1 with $56 million and proved a minor upset for the hotly anticipated Interstellar, which followed at #2 with $50 million. Disney's Big Hero 6 played more to families, while the audience for Paramount's Interstellar leaned more toward adults, which caused the charts to differ slightly from expectations. But with the two films starting strong and generating much in the way of positive buzz, both studios seem primed for success. Finally, inching its way back into the top 3 was Gone Girl, pulling in another $6 million toward its sizable $145 million gross, and continuing to distinguish itself as one of the fall's most talked about movies. Coming to theaters this week is Dumb and Dumber 2, the long-awaited sequel to the Farrelly Brothers' 1994 comedy classic Dumb and Dumber. Picking up exactly 20 years after the first film, Dumb and Dumber 2 finds the well-intentioned but cripplingly dim-witted duo of Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn hitting the road once again, this time to track down Harry's long-lost daughter, on whom Lloyd may have a bit of a crush. Of course, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels return as Lloyd and Harry, respectively, but look out for The Walking Dead's Laurie Holden as the boys' latest antagonist, as well as Kathleen Turner as the much-talked-about but never-seen Freda Felcher. Dumb and Dumber 2 opens this Friday, November 14th. Lastly for this week, and expanding into a limited release, is Whiplash, the first major offering from writer-director Damien Chazelle that centers around Miles Teller as Andrew Neiman, a skilled and ambitious jazz drummer who begins his career at a prestigious musical conservatory and quickly rises to the top of his class. However, his promising future collapses in a crash of cymbals when he's met by J.K. Simmons as Terrence Fletcher, a temperamental instructor who demands perfection from his pupils and goes to terrifying lengths to make them live up to their potential. Will Terrence pave the way for Andrew to achieve greatness, or will they slaughter each other in the process? That's the conflict at the center of Whiplash, and the universal praise the film has received guarantees it will be a must-watch this awards season. The film can be seen in select theaters this Friday, November 14th. Now playing in theaters is Interstellar, the latest film from Christopher Nolan and his first since 2012's The Dark Knight Rises. This large-scale science fiction saga begins on Earth in the not-too-distant future, at a time when resources are limited and the environment is no longer sustainable. Enter Matthew McConaughey as Cooper, a widowed farmer and former NASA engineer called upon to join a team of scientists as they journey through space-time via a newly discovered wormhole in the hopes of finding a new planet to colonize. Joining Cooper on this voyage is Anne Hathaway as Dr. Amelia Brand, David Gyasi as the physicist Romilly, and Wes Bentley as the geographer Doyle. While the intricacies of navigating between planets and galaxies cause physical distress for the astronauts, an equal amount of emotional distress is caused by the length of their mission. An hour on one planet can mean decades on Earth, and the harsh reality Cooper and his team have to deal with is that in order to save their loved ones, they may have to sacrifice ever getting to see them again. Plagued by a similar longing back on Earth is Jessica Chastain as Cooper's daughter Murph, now an adult and having joined NASA to work with Dr. Brand's father, played by Michael Caine, in order to solve the mission's crucial problem of gravity. The two storylines running parallel on Earth and in outer space are relatively simple, with Nolan shirking his usual adherence to complex plotting and tight structure to allow for visual grandeur and real emotional heights. The relationship between Cooper and Murph is the most durable aspect of the film, with McConaughey creating believable love and familial attachment with both the older Chastain and the younger Mackenzie Foy, a star in the making if there ever was one. The special effects involved in the space travel sequences pack just as much of a punch, inspiring real awe from the audience and recalling the visuals seen in last year's Gravity, but on an even larger scale. Where Interstellar stumbles somewhat is in the story department. Despite the 169-minute runtime, the film is never boring, but there are several periods where the mission itself seems to lack real stakes. There's a lot of planet hopping going on, but with no real goal other than exploration, it sometimes feels like wheel spinning. One interlude in particular, taking place on an ice planet, seems promising at first, but falters as it comes to a head, culminating in what is supposed to be an intense fight sequence, but plays more like unintentional comedy. Some of the Earth material is also a little clunky, especially so as the film ramps up to a climax, frequently interrupting the emotional crescendo Nolan is striving for with some relatively pointless ground-level conflict. But in the end, it's Nolan's skill as a director that carries Interstellar even through its rockier patches, and as the film reaches a mystifying third act that takes cues from the likes of 2001: A Space Odyssey, Contact, and Signs, the power of the visuals and the performances on screen is undeniable even as things threaten to become too much. Despite its missteps, a messy film by Christopher Nolan is still a film by Christopher Nolan, and the overwhelming intergalactic vistas, the beautiful father-daughter relationship, and the moving conclusion of Interstellar make it an easy recommendation. That's all for this week in the world of movies. I'm Joseph Lewis, and we'll be back after these messages.
Now, if you've ever traveled for the holidays, then you will more than likely relate to Steve Martin's character, Neil Page, in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. After having his flight canceled due to bad weather, Neil must find another way home for Thanksgiving. But now, do you remember the infamous rent-a-car sequence within the film? An extensive amount of work went into creating that scene, but do you know why? After the break, we'll clue you in on what took place.
And do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Welcome back. The infamous rent-a-car scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles took a lot of effort. Crews had to rent 20 miles of train track and refurbish old railroad cars. They also had to construct a set to resemble an airline terminal, along with designing a rent-a-car company logo and uniforms. On top of that, the crews rented 250 cars just for these sequences. Why? Well, no transportation company wanted to appear incompetent or deficient in any way. So, what are your takes on the rent-a-car sequence?
Good movie.
I honestly don't remember.
I imagine it's a lot harder to put together a movie than what most people think.
Well, I honestly would think it would have to take a lot more effort to put 20 miles of railroad track together, or however they had to do it.
That's a good point.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's a good point.
Now, the 250 cars just to rent, just to make a scene for these people without the people cooperating, what do you think about that?
It's a lot of effort to make a really good film. A lot of effort to make a really good film.
Now, how mad would you have been if you were the producers?
I wouldn't have enjoyed it. Kind of like ours are getting right now. So that is going to do it for this week's LMU Tri-State News. Thank you for joining us. And for everyone behind the scenes, I'm Ashley Hurley.